Greetings and welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into reparenting, exploring all of the tools and resources that you'll need to help you along your journey. This podcast is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading. The second is a discussion of the reading followed by suggested journal prompts. And the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us today. I'm so glad that you're here as we continue on this journey of self-expansion and growth. If this is your first time, welcome. Before we dive in, a quick reminder. Like, share, and subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Your support here helps spread the word and grow this community of self-reparenting. Now for a few updates. First, I'm excited to introduce our Patreon community, where for a small monthly fee, you can join us for 3 weekly reparenting support meetings. Sundays, we have a guided meditation for emotional grounding. On Tuesdays, we have a book club discussion for deeper discussions and growth. And on Thursdays, we have open topic conversations for real-time support on any topics that may come up. You can find all of the details about what's included in this community by going to the Reparenting Daily website and checking out the community tab. In addition, we now have a WhatsApp support group, a global network of fellow travelers available anytime you need encouragement, guidance, or simple connection. This is just one of the many ways we're building a strong, supportive space for your reparenting journey. The next announcement is that I've just released my first few books. The first is the Reparenting Daily Journal, a structured 365-day guide to help you work through reparenting day by day. Starting in 2025, each month focuses on a key theme with weekly sub-themes. The Reparenting Daily podcast episodes align with the journal, making it an interactive and immersive experience to help you stay focused and ensure real progress this year. Now for the next announcement, I'm thrilled to introduce Fairy Tales for Reparenting Daily, a collection of 3 books inspired by Jungian analysis, mythology, philosophy, psychology, and most importantly, the work of Marie-Louise von Franz. These short, simple stories are designed to help you reconnect with your inner child and experience healing through storytelling. What makes these books unique? Well, at the end of each story, there's a deep dive analysis exploring its themes, explored by journal prompts to help you reflect on how these lessons relate to your personal journey. All of these books are now available on Amazon, so go ahead and take a look and support this project. Reparenting is a journey of growth, iterative change, and continuous improvement. Much like nurturing the bonsai tree, it requires patience, care, consistency, and attention. Thanks for being here and supporting this work, and for committing on your journey of self-expansion. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's practice. Today, we're going to be reading a summary of Book 12 of the Odyssey, which is a Greek epic poem that talks about the journeys of Odysseus. Just as a reminder, we're in May, and the theme this month is emotional regulation. We're in week 2, which is May 8th until the 14th. And the theme for this month this week, is managing strong emotions. Now we're reading book 12 of the Odyssey because this is a journey that really touches on the key theme this week of managing strong emotions, and particularly temptation. Now, because the reading is a bit longer, you'll find a link in the show notes so you can read the original text that's in the public domain. And today I will read a summary of that section because book 12 is a bit long to read on this episode. So let's get started. In book 12 of the Odyssey, Odysseus and his crew sail from the Otherworld back to Circe's island, where she gives him critical warnings about the trials ahead. She tells them they'll soon face the sirens, creatures whose irresistible song allures sailors to their death. Odysseus, curious but wise, instructs the men to plug their ears with beeswax and tie him to the mast. As they pass the sirens, Odysseus begs to be released, enchanted by their promises, but his men ignore him, holding the line. It's the perfect image of emotional self-mastery. He doesn't trust his willpower alone. He builds restraints ahead of time. Next, they face Scylla and Troilus, 2 monstrous figures guarding a narrow sea passage. Scylla is a 6-headed beast that snatches men from ships. Troilus is a violent whirlpool that can sink a whole vessel. Circe tells Odysseus, don't fight, just steer close to Scylla and accept some loss rather than risking total destruction. Odysseus obeys, and though he's devastated as 6 of his men are devoured, he keeps the ship moving forward. This moment shows the agony of leadership and the emotional weight of making hard decisions under pressure. They survived the monsters, but when they reached the island of Thernacia, Odysseus warns his crew not to touch the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios. However, while he sleeps, hunger and desperation overwhelm the men. They slaughter the cattle, despite knowing the costs. This betrayal triggers the divine wrath. When they set sail again, Zeus destroys the ship with a lightning bolt, killing everyone except Odysseus. This painful sequence reveals the emotional consequences of impulsivity, broken trust, and disobedience under duress. Book 12 ends with Odysseus drifting alone at sea, clinging to the wreckage as he washes ashore at Calypso's island. It's a brutal stretch of the journey, but also a metaphor. When emotions aren't managed wisely, temptation, fear, hunger, grief, they can destroy everything. Yet Odysseus' story also shows that foresight, restraint, and endurance are the keys to surviving even the most emotionally dangerous waters. That's the lesson for us here in this reading. The storm isn't always avoidable, but how we prepare and respond decides if we will sink or rise again. Thanks, and this is reading today. As a reminder, you can find the full text of the original Book 12 in the show notes. Today's reading from Book 12 of Homer's Odyssey is a vivid and harrowing account of Odysseus' trials as he navigates powerful temptations, deadly threats, and divine punishments, all of which mirror the internal challenges of managing overwhelming emotions, the central theme in this week's. The siren's call symbolizes seductive emotional impulses, like rage, grief, or despair, that promise wisdom or relief but ultimately lead to destruction. Odysseus survives not by suppressing his desire to listen, but by preparing. He communicates clearly with his crew, binds himself to the mask, and practices self-control while fully feeling the temptation. This becomes a metaphor for feeling your emotions without being controlled by them. As the journey progresses, Odysseus' fate, Chabdis and Celia, 2 inevitable dangers representing the emotional extremes we often find ourselves trapped between: paralyzing chaos, Chabdis, or destructive fury, Scylla. Circe's advice to sail closer to Scylla and lose only a few men rather than risk total destruction underscores a painful truth of emotional regulation. Sometimes we must accept small losses to avoid greater catastrophe. Later, when his crew disobeys and slaughters the sacred cattle of Helios, the resulting annihilation reinforces how impulsive action under emotional pressure can destroy everything hard won. Through all this, Odysseus models leadership by anchoring himself in foresight, discipline, and emotional steadiness, even as those around him falter. And we look at the journal prompts today. Number 1, when I feel emotionally overwhelmed, what internal sirens tempt me to act impulsively? And how might I prepare myself like Odysseus to ride out the storm without losing control? What's one emotional situation in my life where I need to accept a small sacrifice, discomfort, setting a boundary, releasing an expectation to prevent much greater loss? And number three, what would it look like to practice emotional leadership with myself? Staying grounded, planning ahead, and trusting my inner compass, even when others around me are reactive or lost. That's it for today. As always, thanks so much for being here. Take care of yourself and please do be well. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please go ahead and find a space where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Take a moment to simply be with yourself. Focus on your breath and gently connect with each part of your body. If thoughts arise, don't let them overwhelm you. Just observe them without attachment. Imagine them as leaves drifting down atop a river, passing by without needing your engagement. Stay present, grounded, and open to this moment, no matter what time you are listening and practicing this meditation. Namaste.